Hallelujah. Prof. Temani, they want to be raised with spiritual songs. Hallelujah. On that note, thanks, Prof. Temani. White t-shirt, beautiful lady in a orange. Thank you for your attention. So we are going to immediately then go into the NRF researchers sessions. And before us here, we have our researchers, Professor Tuleni Sodi and Professor Matapatlapan Tamani. And also we have Edith Sikumo from the to allow our first speaker, Edith Sikumo, a professional officer, human and infrastructure capacity development at the NRF, to come and open the address of the researchers. Ma'am, over to you.
NIHSS. We appreciate such interventions. And as well, we do fund some postgraduate students, as well as early career researchers and post-apply next year. How do I move across? Capital pipeline that we are looking to fund across the different career paths, and then focus on some of the opportunities that I spoke about, the grant values within those opportunities. Not everyone in academia or in our institutions knows who the NRF is. '23 of 1998. And so our mandate is embedded in 4 areas. Provision of research platforms and infrastructures for research. Again, focus on transforming lives, given our country's historical past, looking at how we change the landscape of our and focus on science for science and not science for society, and not just science for science. Focuses on communities, focuses on the work that we do within those communities. And so then want to highlight science for society and not just for science's sake, and look at awareness and communication space, given the synergies and partnerships with different partners in the NSI space. So again, our mandate and vision really speaks to knowledge, focus on science for science, but science for society, and how we work them to improve society and our goals as a nation. And so our critical areas that we focus on are transformation, impact, excellence, and sustainability. And again, just speaks to in all our funding instruments. So a big key thing that we focus on is transformation, given that we need to meet equity targets that are set by the ministry, and that's now our two ministries, DSI and DHET. And so then how do we embed transformation in terms of our funding instruments? And the key area was to actually have a transformation framework that the NRF worked for postgraduate students and researchers. We know from previous history and currently as well that we have an aging cohort of researchers, and given our past, our researcher cohort was primarily white and awarding process is as indicated. It's very simple. Once the call opens, you go on to your NRF Connect profile, look at, depending on your CV, because now it's AI algorithms based, depending on your CV, different instruments open up at different stages. So you go in, make your application, and we do the reviews and the funding decisions. I think that's the end of the, but I think let me just go to this because I think it's important. So this is what I was talking about in terms of how NRF instruments can be utilized by our applicants, by our researchers to progress from either your postgraduate level to become a leading researcher and scholar. So it's not the full scope of our instruments, but you can actually see if you actively engage the instruments, you can get funding from the honors level up to such a level if you time yourself well and begin preparing your career plans at the moment. So thank you.
Thanks, Edith, and once again, apology for the issue of electricity. But somewhere along the line, I realized that darkness is calming because I was starting to really enjoy myself there in darkness. I'm going to call upon Professor Temani to also speak to his research chair, which will connect to Edith's presentation. Thereafter, Professor Sodi will come in and also speak to us, and then we'll take 1, 2, 3. Professor Masora is also saying there's a book of condolences that we spoke about yesterday. It's taking turns. Please just write a message there for Prof. Masamola. I've announced. Over to you, Prof.
Good afternoon, colleagues, students. I hold a research chair, as the pamphlets will show on that table. You can grab one, so I don't have to repeat what is written here. but I just want to conscientize you that we have a mission, among other things, to increase a number of chairs in the Faculty of Humanities, also in the university. If I'm not wrong, I think the University of Limpopo has about 5 to 6 chairs. And of these 5 to 6 chairs, 2 are in the Faculty of Humanities. And I think we're not doing well as the University of Limpopo, like other historically Black universities, in terms of applying for funding from the NRF. There's a lot of funding that we don't grab, and is grabbed by the historically white universities. So, so far as my chair is concerned, we are concerned with making schools work better, or school improvement. So any early career researcher interested in joining me in that area, the pamphlet will show that the areas that we concentrate on is on leadership, instructional leadership, inclusive education, safety and security in schools, and psychosocial support. And that's it. We have forgotten to write the contact numbers here. I think we'll organize that we beam them so that those who are interested could make a follow-up and discussions maybe during lunch. Thank you very much.
Same Prof. Tolani Sodi is going to speak about his research chair. More information is in the pamphlets that were circulated on your tables about the research chairs.
Thanks, Prof. Makhatlela, and good afternoon once again. Good afternoon. Yes, as we have indicated, we have tried to distribute these brochures. So we take it that you all have this. If it was in a faculty board meeting, would be saying, we take it that the agenda or the minutes have been read. So we just go through that quickly. But just a quick indication in terms of the brochure, and I guess it's the same for me and also for Prof. Temani, is our envisaged outputs. We have made the commitment with the NRF, and this has been signed. And Edith is here, of course. And I just hope that she's not going to tell them that we are even thinking of modifying the promises we have made so that we can go down a little bit. But if you look at the envisaged outputs from 2023 to 2027, we have indicated, for instance, that it's essentially human capital development and training, mentorship for early career researchers and supervision of postgraduate students, postgraduate to help them to prepare careers in the field of mental health. That is in my case, and the same will apply for Prof. Temani. We have undertaken that, for instance, in my chair, I will in the next 5 years produce 20 honor students. The next 5 years produce 30 master students, 10 PhD students, and 7 postdoctoral fellows, and 10 early career researchers. So those are the commitments we've made, and we hope the same thing for Prof. Temani. So you can imagine, it's a very big ask. And that's why we thought this opportunity would be good to share this with early career researchers and students that you can always raise your hand, and the email addresses are there so that you can come and join us. So I will pass the issue of my research chair, because as I say, all the information is here. But what I thought is even more important to share with everyone here is what is reflected on that they call it what? The wall banner. And the same that is reflected there on the screen. Prof. Temani's research chair is focusing on schools as enabling environments. And my chair is focusing on mental health. Prof. Temani and I have been in the trenches together for some time. So we become friends in the process, but we realized we could capitalize on the friendship to take research to the next level. And so we decided to be a bit mathematical, and we drew some Venn diagrams. I'm sure Prof. Maudu would know this as a mathematics educator. In arithmetic, you would have, I think, Venn diagrams. You would have a diagram and another diagram. And the thing in between, what would they call that? The intersection, yes. So we then realized that the intersection could easily be found between the two chairs. And then we decided we're going to invest about 60% of his energy, his time and resources focusing on activities and research relating to mental health in places of learning and development. So the same will happen in my case. About 60% of my resources, energy and time will be focused on that. So when we talk about those early career researchers, those students that we are intending to produce, and then also the outputs, probably 60% or thereabout of that will be in that space. And so what we are saying indirectly is those of you, whether from University of Limpopo, University of Venda, or any other institution out there, if you have any research that would relate to mental health in places of learning and development, we would want to talk to you as well, because we are envisaging a situation where we'll have what I think in the NRF they call communities of practice, where we could then have different universities converging on this particular platform. So when we say places of learning, we're talking about universities, we're talking about high schools, we're talking about primary schools. And when we're talking about places of development, we're talking about even early childhood development centers. We're talking about special schools. We're talking about places like hospitals and so on. So it is all encompassing, and we believe if we could have more and more early career researchers, established researchers and students joining us in this exercise, we probably can start a small revolution. But should I say a non-violent and peaceful revolution? Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Sodi, Prof. Temani, and Edith for the presentation. In the main, it goes to researchers and students in terms of research funds. I think we made it, we announced that we'll avail Edith's presentation, which you can always go through it during your own time. I'm going to allow the floor to pose just one or two questions, and then to our speakers, and then we should be closing their session. Any questions? There's a hand there. Ronnie, I see your hand. Simon, you can go ahead. Any other? Mike, please. Roving Mike. Thanks, Dr. Hassel. I'm aware we late, we're hungry now, but we are wrapping up, colleagues. Any other hand so that we close it? Any other hand? Sandeni, I noted you too. Go ahead. There's one. Oh, here also.
All right. Thanks, Prof. My question is basically directed to Ma'am Edith. So my question is from the student perspective. So, Ma'am Edith, I need to check. Most of the NRF grants, bursaries, will state that part of the conditions as a student, you mustn't be employed somewhere. But why is it, but why is it that when it's time for you to release the funds, it seems like there will be some delays. And whenever the funds are released, the student will still have to hustle to get to them through the university gatekeepers. May you please clarify that?
Edith, you want to take it now, or shall we take all the questions? All right, all the questions then. The second person, was it Dr. There was another hand that I recognized, I think. Slepe. Oh, yes.
We are having a group, my question.
Speak a bit loud, Doctor.
Um,
Thanks.
Towards the first speaker, we are having a group, it's a PhD support group. We have masters and PhD students there, and already our members, about 10 of them have graduated. The challenge that they have raised is that they do not have time, of which is something you have raised in your presentation. So in the past, NRF used to fund us for writing retreats. So we would love this time around to support us as well. Is it something you are capable of assisting us so that we can support these students and they graduate, and you also as a country reach that target of 6,000?
Zandeni? Over this side, Dr. Hassel. Then the last one will be Prof. Ntombela. Then we close.
Thank you, Chair. My question is directed to Ma'am Edith. It's with regard to funding for PhD students. So I just want to know, because in terms of eligibility, okay, thank you. In terms of eligibility, most of the funding, it specifies that people should be at least below around age 36 and below. So I just want to try and find out, is there any other funding opportunity available for people who are more than 40 years doing PhD and they are students? Thank you.
Okay, last one, Prof. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Short one, I was so impressed about your funding instruments availing funds for some women researchers who become procreatively productive. Would you have similar instruments available for certain researchers, for example, who might want to pay lobolo?
Can I maybe have a microphone? Dr. Khasa, give it to Edith so that she can speak while she's sitting. And I lost a pen that really releases a lot of ink. If there's anyone who has a very inky pen, can I quickly get it? A very inky, the one that releases a lot of ink? I lost it. If anyone has it, can I borrow it? I'll bring it back. Over to you, Edith.
So I hope I got all the questions correct. So in terms of delays of accessing funds, so there are two issues we faced. As indicated before, we've changed to a new system, NRF Connect. And so with that, there are teething problems we've experienced, and especially this year with the grant release module of the NRF Connect. But I think those were sorted out, and now funds were released to students, albeit a bit late, but we apologize for that and indicated to institutions that they can utilize funding that they had, because there's a promise from NRF to actually make the funds available. There's also a thing we're asking grant holders, check that all your documents that are required have been submitted. We're finding that there are queries from some grant holders or some awardees. At that point, you're an awardee, but you haven't yet submitted. If you're maybe like on your master's funding or PhD, you haven't submitted your PhD or master's certificate on your NRF profile. And so because this documents outstanding, then the grant hasn't been accepted and finalized. So those are the two challenges we are facing with the delays of funds. At first was a big issue, and we did sincerely apologize for that. But now the grant release module is working, and that's fine. The only challenge was now some awardees had not submitted required documents and accepted the award on their NRF Connect profiles. So just asked awardees if they've been awarded funding, that they've done those two steps, accept the award on their profile, then the DA at the institution accepts the award as well, and then the grant is then released. In terms of the writing retreat for PhD students or doctoral students, we have the KIC grant that one can apply for. Normally with the PhD students, your supervisor must apply on your behalf. There are different categories within the KIC grant, either for conference presentation, for research visits in terms of accessing equipment, or conferences, in organizing conferences, or organizing writing retreats. So do check the KIC grant on the website. I think the call opens 3 times a year, so just check the deadlines and the conditionalities and apply if you're eligible. In terms of the PhD or with the postgraduate instruments, in terms of the age criteria that was set, I think maybe when the power went off, I did indicate that given the new DSI postgraduate funding policy, that we have age limits set for the 3 funding instruments, honors, master's, doctoral, as well as time limits to completion. And this was because of the different challenges we were seeing when we were funding before. As I indicated, there was people in the system that were taking long to finalize their degrees for whatever reasons those were. But also if you look at downstream within the system as a whole, that if you fund someone at a PhD level, if you're 55 years of age, for argument's sake, the time period that you're active within research and can produce research outputs is very limited. But also again, downstream, if you're looking to now apply for different awards, NRF rating, there are also criteria set at that particular stage. So then you fall out of that period. But also primarily, given that we face funding constraints, budgetary constraints, we need to fund smart as well. I think we don't argue that knowledge is good, and anyone who wants to study at whatever age is encouraged, but we have to fund given the challenges we face within the system. For some instruments, we do take note, especially for female applicants, as I indicated, that you've taken time off because of either you've given birth or things like that. And with the Tutuka grant that I know of, we do fund and give exception for those who are 45 years of age and can, with due motivation, indicate what the reasons were, that you can get funded at 45 years of age at the time of application. Then I think Prof here spoke about Lobola. I think the indication was for male applicants. So I think looking at, again, the constraints, looking at the budget constraints, we need to fund smart, but we do take into account male applicants who also then take up paternity leave, or for whatever reasons they are. We give some instruments that you can give due motivation, especially with time off of research. If you indicate what the issues were and if they make sense, then that would be considered, but I don't promise that. I think if you look at within the system, the gender numbers, was quite a big gender imbalance. And so then the focus was on women researchers and Black women researchers, so that we can then have parity within the researcher cohort as well. I know this year, for the first time I saw within the NRF, we had a postdoc awardee who asked for an extension because he was taking the paternity leave. And we did grant that, given that there was motivation with the documents that he provided. So depending on the situation, then we do look at the motivation.
Okay, Prof answered about Lobola. Thank you. On that note, colleagues, I'm no longer going to allow any hands. Our researchers are with us in the University of Limpopo. There are their contacts. They have flyers circulating. the presentation will share it. On that note, allow me to thank our speakers for this opportunity and a moment. Can we please give them a round of applause? All right. On that note, I think I'm going to say one, Prof. Mautu, Prof. Bantuini, Prof. Masuga, please ascend the podium so that you do us the last ceremony of this conference. That's the one that all of us, most of us have been looking forward to. Awards ceremony, and then we will close and proceed for lunch. We must be very hungry now. I'm going to move away from the stage. Please take over the stage. I'm tired.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know that I'm standing between you and the food. We are going to make it very short. Now we've come to almost the last part of our conference, where we are going to honor our guest speakers, give them some awards, and we're going to call upon them to come and pick up the award. Yes, may we request our guest speakers to come up front? This is not much, but our token of appreciation. Thank you very much, Prof. Ramosa. Thank you very much, Prof. Paloi. Thank you very much for giving us your time and to come and share the wealth of wisdom that you have amassed over the years. We thank you very much. Now we are going to call upon the best poster presentation. We're going to award the best poster presentation, and the award goes to Miss Matlatse Malepe. Best poster presentation award. Yes. Miss Matlatse Malepe. I just wish there was music. Thank you very much, Miss Malepe. Oh, sorry, you. Now we're going to call upon those who received the Best Academic Paper Award. The award goes to Dr. Mapoi Mabena. Thank you very much, Doc. And our last Best Student Paper Award goes to Mr. Dilakan Abel Pasha. Best Student Paper Awards. Mr. Pasha? Anyone who knows Mr. Pasha? I think it's University of Limpopo. It doesn't. Pasha? Okay.
Award, I'm going to ask Professor Sodi to come to the stage. And this is a special award for a very special person. So we have a very, very brief citation which will be read.
Good afternoon again. This is a token of appreciation presented to Professor Biennial Mahache, Associate Professor, the Department of Psychology, Faculty of Humanities at the University of Limpopo. We express our sincerest gratitude for your outstanding leadership as chairperson of the local organizing committee of the second Sahuda Nihss Biennial National Conference held from 25 to 27 October 2023 at the ranch, Protea Marriott Hotel, Polokwane, South Africa. And this is presented to you from Professor Maudu, Executive Dean, Faculty of Humanities, University of Limpopo, and Professor B. Bandwini, Executive Dean, Faculty of Humanities, Social Science and Education, University of Venda. Most importantly, this award is given to you essentially sponsored by the University of Limpopo, University of Venda, Sahuda, and the National Institute for the Humanities and Social Sciences. It is a singular honor and privilege to present this special award to your good self.
Colleagues, this brings us to the end of this wonderful conference.
Sorry, Prof. Masoa. Colleagues, this is not for me, it's for the LOC. I couldn't have made it without the support, collaboration, and the friendships that we developed in the LOC. So this is not for me, Jennifer, Laborang, Kenneth, Mambig, all of you guys in the LOC. This is ours, it's not mine. Thank you, Prof.
You see, Professor Makhatlela is a true Ubuntu. How do you call him? A activist. Can I say that? Yes, an academic and an activist. Professor Makhatlela, we thank you and your team for this well done job, and we are very grateful for the work done. Professor Bantwini, and let me start with the VCs in absentia to thank the VCs in absentia. Please convey our gratitude to them. The DVCs, I think when we started, we started with Professor Madaj and then Professor Feza, and this morning we had Professor Singh. We are so grateful for their support. And the two deans, executive deans, you've done a marvelous job. I don't want to repeat what I said last night, that you have really proved to us that the Northern Corridor is capable. And I said it even when we started, that the name was coined by us. Professor Sodi will recall when we started with the Northern Corridor story. So this is the Northern Corridor. So it takes us back to 2015 when we started with the doctoral mentoring program. So I don't want to really waste time. It's just to thank you and wish you well in your work as academics, researchers, and also saying please drive carefully. For those who are like me who drink, do not drink today until you arrive home. No, we're told that there was one prime minister of one homeland system who used to say to Barnabas Kolo, don't drink now, drink after school, meaning when you have finished your education. So drink after school. So that's what I want to say to all of you, and all of the best. And I know that we are almost there with the festive season. Also take care during festive season. Let's go like Devala. Kastwana sa gaetso ha re motho a ska itebala. Batswana ba re alo ba re se ra itebala, botho ba rona bo se ba re tlogela. Re tswele pele go nna batho. Botho bo se ka go tlogela. Ha botho bo ka go tlogela, ha o sa le motho, you are something else. All of the best.